Power obeys no law but its own. Those who understand its hidden patterns seize not only states, but the very course of history. Vert. The word itself carries a weight, a resonance that has echoed through the courts of princes, the chambers of kings, and the secret councils of the most cunning rulers. It is not virtue in the moral sense, though many confuse it with goodness. No, vert is something far deeper, more primal, more enduring. It is the measure of a ruler's strength, the sharpness of his mind, the audacity of his actions, and the courage to bend fortune to his will. It is the invisible steel within the soul that allows a man to rise, to conquer, and to endure in a world ruled by uncertainty. Without vert, power is fragile, like a castle built upon sand, doomed to collapse when the tides of fortune shift. Consider the great rulers of history. Romulus, standing amid the chaos of Rome's birth, could not have carved a city from wilderness without vert. Alexander, facing armies that stretched beyond imagination, did not rely solely on his inherited kingdom. He relied on his decisiveness, his strategic genius, his capacity to inspire fear and loyalty alike. Even Machiavelli, writing from the precarious streets of Florence, understood this instinctively. A prince must not wait for opportunity to arrive like a courteous visitor. He must create it, seize it, and shape it. Vert is the engine that turns ambition into reality. Yet vert is not merely the act of boldness. It is intelligence sharpened by observation, courage balanced by caution, and foresight that anticipates both friends and enemies. A ruler may wield armies, yet without vert, they are weapons in the hands of chance. A prince may inherit wealth, yet without vert, it is a gilded cage that enslaves him to circumstance. Machiavelli teaches us that vert is active, not passive. It is movement, adaptation, and resilience. It is the willingness to embrace difficulty, to confront danger, and to act decisively when hesitation would mean ruin. Vert manifests differently depending on the prince and the state he governs. In a hereditary principality, it may appear in prudence, in the careful maintenance of tradition, in the quiet yet firm guidance of long-standing institutions. In a new principality, however, vert must roar. The prince must demonstrate strength through decisive action, often ruthless, to establish his authority. He must win the loyalty of those who may resist him, bend fear to his advantage, and extinguish threats before they rise. Vert is the alchemy that transforms potential chaos into ordered power. The world is not kind to the passive. A ruler who lacks vert is at the mercy of fortune, drifting wherever chance wills. But a ruler who cultivates vert channels fortune, turning randomness into opportunity. Machiavelli calls this the delicate dance between man and chance. Fortuna can elevate the bold, but it will swallow the weak. The man who understands vert learns to act with timing, to recognize when to strike and when to wait. He does not pray for favorable winds. He adjusts the sails, masters the currents, and navigates toward his destiny. Vert is also a mirror of perception. It is not enough to be strong, clever, or daring. Others must see it. The reputation of vert inspires loyalty and fear, admiration and caution. A prince who acts boldly but is unseen is powerless. A prince who appears weak, even if secretly strong, invites rebellion. Therefore, the cultivation of vert is both internal and external. It is mastery of self and mastery of perception. The prince must command attention, respect, and obedience, not merely through action, but through the subtle signals that announce his presence before he even moves. And yet, vert is never static. It is refined in adversity, sharpened by challenge, and tested by resistance. A prince may think himself secure, yet the moment he ceases to act with purpose, the foundation of his power begins to crumble. History is littered with rulers who inherited kingdoms, armies, or riches, only to squander them through inaction, indecision, or moral hesitation. Vert is the difference between a fleeting reign and a dynasty remembered across centuries. Ultimately, vert is not a gift of birth or a product of fortune. It is earned, honed, and wielded. It is the dangerous knowledge that transforms ordinary ambition into extraordinary power. It is the sword that cuts through the illusions of weakness, the shield that guards against the storms of chance, and the fire that lights the path toward mastery. To understand vert is to understand the essence of ruling, the relentless, disciplined, and courageous pursuit of authority over both men and circumstance. So ask yourself, do you cultivate vert within your own life? Do you act with decisiveness, observe with clarity, and adapt with intelligence? For the lesson of Machiavelli, whispered across centuries, is that those who wield vert do not merely survive, they shape history itself. Fortuna, the goddess of chance, the unseen hand that twists the fates of men. She is neither kind nor cruel, only relentless, turning the wheel without pause, indifferent to your desires or schemes. Some call her luck. Others call her destiny. Machiavelli calls her a force to be understood, feared, and above all, mastered. To ignore her is to invite ruin. To respect her is to seize opportunity. Fortuna is the canvas upon which your vert must paint, the storm that tests your strength, and the river that will either carry you forward or sweep you away. Observe history, and you will see her in action. One day, a kingdom stands unchallenged. The next, betrayal, famine, or rebellion topples it. One man rises to greatness seemingly overnight, lifted by circumstance. Another, equally capable, falters, undone by the winds of chance. Fortune is impartial, blind, and relentless. Yet she is not absolute. She can be predicted, influenced, and even harnessed by those who act with courage, foresight, and calculated audacity. Machiavelli teaches that fortune favors the bold, not the timid, because the bold understand how to ride her currents instead of drowning in them. Fortuna is fickle. She rewards decisiveness and punishes hesitation. A prince who waits for perfect conditions will wait forever, for perfection does not exist in the realm of men. The world is chaotic, governed by competing ambitions, shifting alliances, and unseen dangers. To survive and thrive, you must act with the courage to embrace uncertainty, the wisdom to anticipate change, and the strength to adapt. Fortune is the test, and every choice you make either binds you to her mercy or places you in command of her flow. Yet mastering Fortuna is more than action. It is perception. You must see her movements where others see only randomness. You must recognize the signs, the subtle shifts in loyalty, the hidden weaknesses, the unspoken fears that can be turned to advantage. A wise ruler does not simply react to events. He shapes them. He bends chance to his will, creating openings where none existed and converting threats into tools. In this way, fortune is not a master to obey, but a force to command. Consider the great rulers who understood this dance. Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon, not because the moment was safe, but because he saw the opportunity hidden within danger. He acted decisively, forcing the currents of fortune to bend around his ambition. Alexander the Great marched into unknown lands, confronting armies and deserts alike, not hoping for luck, but creating it through audacious action. Each victory was not merely a stroke of chance. It was the result of courage, foresight, and the mastery of fortune's unpredictable flow. Fortuna tests both strength and weakness. She exposes indecision, cowardice, and folly, turning them into catastrophe. But she also reveals the virtues of the daring, the cunning, and the disciplined. Machiavelli writes that fortune is like a raging river. Those who build dams, construct channels, and reinforce their banks can guide its flow. Those who stand idle are swept away. To survive Fortuna's torrent, you must prepare, anticipate, and act. You must be vigilant, resilient, and unafraid of the risks inherent in decisive action. And yet, there is beauty in this force. Fortuna, in all her unpredictability, ensures that life is dynamic, that power is never guaranteed, and that only those who combine wisdom with courage achieve greatness. She teaches humility, for no man can escape her entirely. She teaches audacity, for only action can bend her to your purpose. She teaches observation, for hidden patterns of opportunity reveal themselves only to the attentive mind. To understand fortune is to understand the rhythm of history, the pulse of human ambition, and the delicate balance between chance and skill. So reflect, how do you move through the world? Do you wait for fortune to favor you? Or do you create your own openings, bending the currents of chance to your will? The lesson is clear: fortune may be unpredictable, but she is not unconquerable. The combination of vert and calculated audacity transforms her from a force of chaos into an instrument of power. Those who master her shape their destiny. Those who ignore her become history's forgotten. Prudence, the quiet force of discernment, the unseen hand guiding action with foresight and precision. It is not weakness, nor hesitation. It is the strength of the mind, tempered by experience and sharpened by wisdom. Machiavelli teaches that prudence is the foundation of lasting power, for those who act without it invite disaster, no matter their ambition or courage. It is the lens through which fortune is observed, the compass that directs vert, and the shield against the unforeseen perils that stalk every ruler. Observe the world around you. Every alliance is fragile, every promise conditional, every opportunity layered with risk. A moment's indulgence in impulse can unravel years of preparation. Prudence is the skill of measuring action against consequence, of weighing ambition against stability, and of knowing when to strike and when to wait. It is the mastery of timing, the art of strategy, and the discipline of restraint. Without it, courage becomes recklessness, power becomes chaos, and potential becomes ruin. Prudence is born of observation. You must see the motives of men, not merely their words. You must understand the currents of influence, the subtle shifts of loyalty, and the hidden fears that govern behavior. A prudent ruler reads between the lines, anticipating betrayal and opportunity alike. He does not rely on trust alone. For trust is fleeting. He relies on calculated understanding, careful planning, and an intimate knowledge of human nature. Machiavelli knew that the wise prince must be both scholar and spy, philosopher and tactician, blending knowledge and vigilance into a single, commanding presence. Consider the lessons of history. The rulers who achieved enduring power were not always the boldest or the strongest, but the most prudent. Augustus Caesar navigated the collapse of the Republic with patience, insight, and subtlety, consolidating authority where others would have provoked ruin. Elizabeth I of England balanced diplomacy and defiance, navigating religious and political turmoil with measured decisions that ensured survival and expansion. Prudence does not eliminate risk. It transforms risk into opportunity, chaos into control, and uncertainty into advantage. Yet prudence is not merely defensive. It is also the engine of audacious action. By understanding when and how to act, a leader converts hesitation into strategy and observation into mastery. The prudent ruler chooses battles carefully, engages allies selectively, and pursues ambition with calculated precision. Machiavelli teaches that foresight and preparation are as powerful as courage and strength. One act, well-timed and well-executed, can eclipse decades of effort, while rash action, no matter how bold, can destroy even the mightiest domain. Prudence demands patience, but it is not passivity. It requires an acute awareness of timing and context, an ability to delay gratification, and a willingness to wait for the precise moment when circumstances align. It is the recognition that power is a living entity, shaped by perception, timing, and subtle influence. To be prudent is to bend events to your understanding, to guide outcomes without apparent force, and to leave the world believing that the flow of fortune itself favored you. The value of prudence extends beyond the immediate gains of power. It is the guardian of legacy, the architect of stability, and the silent instrument of influence. It ensures that actions taken today resonate positively in the years to come, and that decisions made in the present do not undermine authority in the future. A ruler who lacks prudence may achieve victories, but they are fleeting. A ruler who masters it achieves dominion that endures. Reflect, then, how do you measure your choices? Do you rush toward ambition blinded by desire, or do you temper courage with foresight, action with calculation? Prudence is the secret ally of power, the unseen force that transforms boldness into mastery and ambition into lasting achievement. It is both shield and sword, guiding the prudent to navigate fortune, seize opportunity, and emerge from chaos not merely unscathed, but elevated. In the dance of power, prudence is the rhythm to which all great rulers move, unseen but irresistible, subtle yet decisive. Vert, the force within, the measure of a leader's character and capability. It is not merely virtue in the moral sense, nor simple skill. It is the combination of strength, courage, intelligence, and decisiveness that allows a ruler to shape his world. Machiavelli defined vert as the essence of power itself, the ability to act, to seize opportunity, and to impose one's will upon fortune. It is the flame that burns in those who refuse to be passive, the inner command that turns potential into dominion. Vert is the mastery of self, and through self, the mastery of circumstance. To possess vert is to know when to bend, when to break, and when to strike. It is the courage to act when others hesitate, the insight to see where others are blind, and the discipline to persist when the world conspires against you. Machiavelli observed that fortune favors those who are prepared to bend destiny to their design, not those who wait for luck to intervene. Vert is that preparation, that readiness, and that daring that transforms ambition into legacy. Consider the rulers who embodied vert. Alexander the Great moved through the known world with audacity and strategy, reshaping empires with intellect and strength. Catherine the Great expanded her dominion with subtlety, political acumen, and relentless ambition. Each acted with decisive energy, guided by intelligence and tempered by awareness. They understood that power does not exist in waiting, but in action, the precise, courageous, and calculated actions that shape history itself. Vert is not confined to the battlefield. It exists in councils, in negotiations, in the quiet maneuvering of influence. It is the courage to make decisions that are unpopular yet necessary, the wisdom to anticipate the moves of allies and adversaries alike, and the resilience to endure setbacks without losing resolve. A leader without vert is merely a spectator, swept along by circumstance. One with vert becomes the architect of fate, bending chaos and fortune to serve vision and ambition. Yet vert is inseparable from awareness. Machiavelli teaches that courage without understanding, action without calculation, is reckless and self-defeating. True vert requires the clarity to assess risk, the patience to act at the opportune moment, and the discipline to balance force with strategy. It is the delicate art of harmonizing strength with intelligence, ambition with prudence, and vision with reality. Without this balance, power becomes fleeting, and even the boldest actions can lead to ruin. Vert demands presence, the capacity to be fully engaged in the moment, aware of every variable, every opportunity, every threat. It requires a mind attuned to the patterns of human behavior, a perception that penetrates deception, and a resolve that transcends fear. Those who cultivate vert learn to navigate not only the world of politics and influence, but the subtle realms of perception, trust, and loyalty. They become the invisible hand guiding events, the silent force shaping destiny, while others remain blind to the design. Reflection is essential. Vert is not simply inherited or taught. It is forged through experience, challenge, and persistence. Every failure teaches, every encounter tests, every choice sharpens. It is through trial that vert is cultivated, and through reflection that it is refined. To nurture vert is to embrace both the light and shadow within oneself, to recognize the strength and weakness, the courage and fear, and to transform all into action that commands respect, authority, and influence. Finally, understand this vert is the heartbeat of lasting power. It is the fire that drives ambition, the intelligence that guides it, and the courage that sustains it. Those who cultivate vert shape the world around them, impose order on chaos, and leave legacies that echo through time. It is the dangerous knowledge that separates mere rulers from true masters of power. And as you walk your path, let vert be your compass, your force, and your guide. In its mastery lies the ability to transform potential into reality, vision into dominion, and desire into enduring influence. Reputation. The invisible crown that sits upon the head of every ruler, unseen yet heavier than any gold or scepter. Machiavelli knew that power is not only wielded through armies or wealth, but through the perception others hold of you. A prince without reputation is a shadow among men, his commands ignored, his alliances fragile, his authority questioned. Reputation is the lens through which the world interprets your power, and in the theater of influence, perception often outweighs reality. To understand reputation is to understand human nature. People are drawn to strength, inspired by decisiveness, and intimidated by confidence. They mirror what they perceive in you. A leader who is thought to be cunning, wise, or courageous inspires loyalty and fear in equal measure, even if their private struggles are hidden. Conversely, a leader who is perceived as weak, indecisive, or morally corrupt invites challenges, rebellion, and scorn. Machiavelli warns that reputation is both shield and weapon. It protects you when cultivated carefully, and destroys you when neglected. Reputation is forged in actions, but it is sustained through perception. Every choice you make, every decree you issue, every public display of judgment shapes how others see you. Yet it is not enough to act with virtue alone. The world does not judge by intention but by outcome and appearance. A prince must appear merciful, even when ruthless, generous, even when calculating, steadfast, even when cautious. The delicate art of reputation is knowing which aspects of your character to reveal and which to veil in shadow. History is littered with those who failed to guard their reputation. Kings have been deposed not solely by enemies, but by the erosion of their perceived authority. Allies turn to rivals, subjects whisper dissent, and foes sense opportunity, all because reputation, once tarnished, spreads like wildfire. Machiavelli teaches that reputation must be active, maintained like a living force, nourished with consistent action and careful narrative. It is the echo of your power that reaches the ears of both friend and adversary before you even enter the room. The wise ruler manipulates reputation with precision. Fear and respect, trust and caution, loyalty and admiration, all can be amplified or diminished through deliberate gestures, calculated decisions, and symbolic acts. A single bold move can solidify your stature, while a misjudged act can unravel years of influence. Reputation is, therefore, a weapon as subtle as it is potent. It is the art of appearing greater than circumstance allows, of commanding authority even in moments of uncertainty, and of shaping the stories that others tell about you. Reputation is also a mirror to your inner vert. When your actions align with perception, your power becomes unquestionable. When they diverge, doubt creeps in. Machiavelli understood that a leader must sometimes act against morality for the sake of stability and security. But even then, the outward appearance of virtue must be preserved. It is the illusion of integrity, combined with strategic action, that cements authority and ensures obedience. The masses are swayed more by what they believe than by what is true. A prince who masters this knowledge wields an influence far greater than armies or wealth alone could provide. Reflection is essential in reputation management. Consider how every interaction, every speech, and every decision contributes to the ongoing narrative of your power. Observe how perception shifts with rumor, with fear, with admiration. Craft your reputation as a sculptor shapes marble, deliberately, patiently, and with foresight. Let your presence, words, and deeds reinforce the persona you wish to project. In this cultivation lies the ability to command attention, respect, and allegiance without relying solely on force. Finally, understand this reputation is the silent architect of dominion. It amplifies strength, conceals vulnerability, and commands influence beyond what your eyes can see. To neglect it is to invite chaos. To master it is to wield a power more enduring than armies or gold. As you journey through the labyrinth of influence, remember that your legacy begins not with what you hold, but with how you are perceived. Let reputation be your unseen scepter, your shield, and your crown. In its mastery, the path from authority to legend becomes clear, and the world bows before the ruler who understands the dangerous, transformative force of perception, fear and respect, two currents that flow beneath the surface of all human interaction, shaping loyalty, obedience, and influence. Machiavelli understood that a ruler cannot rely on affection alone. Men are fickle, their loyalty is shifting as the wind. They will serve you when it suits them, and betray you when it serves them better. Yet fear, when tempered with justice, becomes an unyielding anchor. Respect, when earned, is the silent rope that binds hearts to your cause. Together, they form the twin pillars upon which power stands. Fear is not cruelty. It is not wanton violence or the arbitrary punishment of the innocent. It is the measured force that commands attention and enforces order. The wise ruler inspires fear by demonstrating that betrayal, disobedience, or disrespect has consequences. A single act of calculated severity resonates, far beyond the moment. It becomes legend, a story whispered by those who might otherwise challenge your authority. Fear, when controlled, disciplines the mind before it ever acts against you. It is a shield that deters chaos, a warning that ensures stability without the need for constant coercion. Respect, on the other hand, is earned, never demanded. It is the acknowledgement of skill, wisdom, and integrity. Men follow those they admire, even when fear is absent. A prince who inspires respect fosters loyalty that is deeper, more enduring, and more reliable than mere obedience. Respect arises from competence, decisiveness, and the demonstration of the capacity to act boldly, wisely, and effectively in all circumstances. When your decisions reflect vision and intelligence, others naturally defer, not out of terror, but admiration. Machiavelli teaches that the balance between fear and respect is delicate. Lean too heavily on fear, and you risk rebellion, hatred, and isolation. Lean too heavily on respect without the support of fear, and your power becomes fragile, vulnerable to the ambitions and schemes of the opportunistic. The ruler's art lies in knowing when to inspire awe, when to demand obedience, and when to reward loyalty. This is not a moral calculation but a strategic one. The end, stability, influence, and survival, justifies the means. Symbolism is key. Public acts of decisiveness, judicious punishment, and unwavering authority communicate volumes without words. They etch your image into the minds of subjects and adversaries alike. Fear need not be pervasive. It can be subtle yet omnipresent, a quiet reminder of your reach and influence. Respect, likewise, can be cultivated through visible competence, fairness, and the wise allocation of power. Both are magnified when aligned with perception. The world judges not only by reality, but by what it believes. Consider the psychology of fear and respect. Fear sharpens attention, focuses behavior, and deters betrayal. Respect inspires emulation, admiration, and voluntary allegiance. Together, they create a climate in which your authority is both secure and magnetic. Those who rule solely by love or popularity are vulnerable. Those who rule solely by terror are despised. The wise ruler blends both, achieving a harmony that secures obedience, loyalty, and admiration simultaneously. Yet mastery requires reflection. Observe the hearts of those around you. Understand the limits of fear before it breeds resentment, the boundaries of respect before it becomes complacency. Adjust your approach as circumstances change, as the tides of power shift, and as ambitions rise within your court or among your followers. Fear without respect is brittle. Respect without fear is fleeting. Only through the careful calibration of both can a ruler ensure his dominion endures. Finally, remember this: fear and respect are not opposites, but allies. Together, they amplify authority, stabilize influence, and forge a legacy that transcends the mundane struggles of daily rule. In their mastery lies the secret that Machiavelli glimpsed in the courts of princes and kings. Power is not merely seized, it is maintained, protected, and expanded through the delicate interplay of perception, emotion, and action. Let fear sharpen the edges of your authority. Let respect deepen the roots of your influence, and let the world recognize that the ruler who masters both commands not only obedience but reverence, an invisible dominion that lasts beyond the reach of time. Strategy and timing. They are the silent architects of power, unseen by the masses, yet decisive in shaping the fate of rulers and kingdoms. Machiavelli understood that brute strength alone cannot sustain authority. The world rewards those who anticipate, plan, and strike with precision, not those who act impulsively or reactively. Power is not seized in haste. It is cultivated through patience, foresight, and the keen observation of shifting circumstances. Timing, more than opportunity, dictates the difference between triumph and ruin. Every action a ruler takes must be weighed against the currents of human behavior. An alliance forged too soon may collapse under mistrust. A confrontation delayed too long may allow rivals to grow stronger. Strategy requires a map of possibilities, a vision of outcomes, and the wisdom to act when the moment ripens. Machiavelli observed that fortune favors the prepared, yet the prepared alone cannot succeed without the courage to execute. Knowledge of when to move and when to remain still is the quiet force that transforms ordinary decisions into legendary victories. Consider the nature of timing itself. Moments are fleeting, yet their consequences endure. A word spoken at the wrong hour can provoke rebellion. A gesture withheld too long can squander loyalty. Conversely, the correct action at the precise moment can consolidate power, win hearts, and silence dissent. This is not luck. It is deliberate mastery over circumstance, cultivated through vigilance, patience, and an intimate understanding of the world's rhythms. The ruler who masters timing becomes almost untouchable, a presence felt before a movement is even made. Strategy, then, is not only about planning battles or securing alliances, It is the orchestration of perception, influence, and opportunity. It is the art of shaping reality so that others act in accordance with your designs, often without realizing it. Machiavelli admired those rulers who moved unseen, whose decisions seemed effortless because the groundwork had been laid in silence, observation, and subtle manipulation. To govern wisely is to act as though the world itself bends to your insight, though in truth, it is your patience, discernment, and timing that bend it. Every ruler faces moments of choice, yet only the disciplined few perceive the contours of consequence. Impulsive ambition leads to exposure, while calculated restraint preserves strength. To strike too soon invites resistance, to hesitate too long invites decay. The wise prince learns to recognize the precise juncture when opportunity becomes inevitability, and when inaction is itself a form of strategy. In this way, strategy and timing become inseparable companions. One cannot exist without the other, for even the most brilliant plan fails without impeccable execution. Reflect also on human nature. People move in predictable patterns, driven by desire, fear, and ambition. The ruler who observes these patterns sees the currents beneath the surface, currents invisible to the impatient or inattentive. By understanding when the hearts of men are ready to follow, when rival factions are vulnerable, and when fortune is in your favor, a ruler transforms potential into power. Each choice, each pause, each calculated step is a note in the symphony of dominion, a movement orchestrated with precision and awareness. Yet mastery of strategy and timing requires humility. One must recognize the limits of control, the unpredictability of fortune, and the inevitability of chance. Even the wisest cannot foresee every outcome. Machiavelli reminds us that prudence lies not in certainty, but in preparedness, a mind attuned to opportunity, ready to seize the moment, and capable of adapting when the currents shift. A ruler's brilliance is measured not only by victories won, but by the foresight that preserves power when luck falters. Finally, understand this: strategy and timing are the invisible sinews of power. They turn plans into legacies and decisions into history. The ruler who masters them operates beyond mere force, beyond reaction, and beyond the grasp of ordinary men. In their mastery lies the secret that Machiavelli uncovered in The Rise and Fall of Princes. Power is not merely taken, it is orchestrated, patiently, subtly, and decisively. Timing sharpens the sword, strategy directs its swing. Together, they ensure that when you act, the world bends in acknowledgement, and your dominion endures, not by chance, but by the careful choreography of insight and action. Legacy and influence. They are the true measure of power, far beyond the fleeting victories of battles or the transient applause of subjects. Machiavelli understood that a ruler's life is but a single chapter, yet the echoes of their decisions can shape generations. Power is not only about control in the present, it is about leaving a mark so indelible that your presence lingers in the minds, habits, and ambitions of those who follow. Influence is the art of transcending time, of embedding your will into the fabric of human society, so that even after you are gone, your vision continues to guide, inspire, and command. Every action you take today is a thread woven into a tapestry of legacy. Do you act with foresight, ensuring that your policies, alliances, and reforms endure? Or do you indulge in impulsive desire, allowing your power to evaporate as soon as it is attained? Machiavelli observed the fates of rulers who ruled with brilliance yet left no enduring structure. Their kingdoms faltered, their names faded, and history remembered them only as brief sparks in an endless night. The wise ruler acts with eternity in mind, shaping not only the present but the framework of the future. Influence, like power itself, is not merely imposed, it is cultivated. Your subjects, allies, and rivals alike must feel the subtle weight of your vision. Through reputation, symbolism, and example, you teach without words and guide without force. Machiavelli emphasized that fear and respect must be balanced, for influence without respect decays into tyranny, and power without perception is ignored. Legacy is not given, it is earned through a combination of decisive action, wisdom, and the artful projection of authority. Consider the invisible architecture of influence. Ideas endure longer than armies, principles outlast decrees. A ruler who embeds wisdom into the culture of their people, who inspires loyalty, courage, and ambition, secures a form of immortality. Each decision becomes a lesson, each victory a parable. Influence flows outward, touching hearts and minds, shaping behaviors in ways that cannot always be measured, yet are felt across decades. This is the power that Machiavelli revered. The ability to extend control not only through force, but through the enduring currents of thought and culture. Legacy also demands discernment in the allies and successors you choose. Those who inherit power are reflections of your guidance. A ruler blind to character sows seeds of ruin. One wise in judgment cultivates continuity. Machiavelli warned that mismanaged succession or poorly nurtured loyalty leads to chaos and betrayal. Influence, therefore, is not only a gift but a responsibility. It is the invisible chain connecting your decisions today with the destiny of the generations to come. Pause and reflect on mortality. Every ruler confronts the inevitability of their own end. Yet the truly powerful transform mortality into a canvas for immortality. Actions taken with clarity, courage, and strategic intent become legends. Decisions echo beyond your lifetime, shaping nations, inspiring leaders, and haunting adversaries. The measure of power lies not only in the strength exercised, but in the enduring presence your leadership casts over time. Influence is the shadow that outlives the hand that casts it. The story that survives beyond the storyteller. Machiavelli teaches that the wise ruler embraces this truth. To govern with legacy in mind is to govern with profound responsibility. Every choice, no matter how small, carries the potential to shape the future. Every alliance, every reform, every act of cunning or generosity contributes to the architecture of influence. This is power refined, power elevated, power transformed from mere dominion into enduring authority. Finally, understand that legacy and influence are the culmination of all mastery. They unite the lessons of foresight, strategy, persuasion, and timing into a single, enduring force. A ruler who leaves nothing behind wields ephemeral power. A ruler who builds influence shapes the very currents of history. In your pursuit of self-mastery, power, and transformation, remember this: to live is temporary, but to be remembered, to guide silently through the ages, to mold the hearts and minds of men, long after your departure. That is the ultimate power. And in this truth lies the dangerous knowledge Machiavelli offered: power is immortal not because it is held, but because it is embedded in the eternal dance of influence, perception, and legacy. Power is not a mere prize, it is a living, breathing force that flows through those who understand its nature. It begins in silence, in the mastery of your own mind, and extends into the world through foresight, influence, courage, and timing. The lessons of kings and princes are not relics. They are mirrors reflecting the truth of human nature, the currents of ambition, and the subtle laws that govern men. To command power is to see beyond appearances, to act when others hesitate, to bend circumstances without breaking yourself. It is to transform knowledge into action, strategy into legacy, and influence into enduring impact. Every choice you make, every impulse you master, every risk you embrace shapes the invisible architecture of your destiny. And yet, the greatest secret of all, true power does not lie in dominion over others. It lies in dominion over yourself. When fear no longer dictates your decisions, when clarity guides your actions, when timing and courage become your allies, you touch a force older than empires and deeper than history itself. The foundations of power are not merely learned, they are lived. They are the quiet currents that shape kingdoms, the invisible hands that mold reality, and the eternal truths that the bold alone can wield. Stand within this knowledge, carry it with purpose, and you will realize that power is not something taken. It is something embodied. And in embodying it, you step into a realm few ever reach. A realm where influence lingers, legacy endures, and the echo of your understanding shapes the world long after you have gone. Power is not fleeting. It is eternal, for those who truly grasp it. To understand power is to step beyond the ordinary, to see the currents beneath human ambition, and to shape a destiny that others only follow.